Welcome back to another episode of After Bedtime with Stevan
and Kelsey.
This is actually our second take of trying to record this episode of After Bedtime, which really is more aptly named Intra Bedtime, because it's not really, we're like in the process of bedtime.
Well, we normally wait until they're like actually asleep, and there's obviously reasons why for that. Is we just figured out is that Cal will get up about 1 million times with a big long list of random stuff, and then eventually we'll finally get him to go to sleep.
But we're glad to be back.
Yes.
And I'm putting the hiatus off on Kelsey because she has a very full schedule. There's lots of people vying for her time, and I was not able to book her for the past 3 months. And she will tell you otherwise, but that's the real story.
Okay.
I think the best way to start off a return episode is just to give a little bit of update on the goings-on in Land of the Freeborns and roll from there. Do you want to start? We have quite a few things.
Yeah. We rearranged our living room.
That's number one on the list. Priority numero uno.
And we now have a 4-year-old. Cal had a birthday. It was
a pandemic birthday.
Yes, it was that's what I was going to say. It's a very different birthday. We both have I have a huge family.
Yeah, my family isn't that big.
To yours.
It is on my dad's side, but not on my mom's side.
Yeah. And, normally the amount of people that come to the birthday party, there's normally a lot.
Did you have big birthdays growing up? Was that like a thing for you? Because it was not for me to have big birthdays. It was like two things. It was like you could either have one friend and do a lot of stuff, or you could have like a bunch of friends and not do very much because of the affordability of it.
Yeah, we never really had like that option. I remember having decently big birthdays all the time, but that's also like my family's huge, and because I had split parents, you got double birthdays.
Joys of divorce.
From the smaller kid aspect, yeah. I mean, it's not all great. Holidays and birthdays, yeah.
Glass half full.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say our birthdays were decently big. Mainly just with family and stuff. And then as we got older, it was more of like friends' birthday parties.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a big thing for me. So now with my kids, I don't really think about it. You think about it more than I do about the birthday thing. But I thought the pandemic birthday was great.
I actually really loved it because it was very chill. We weren't having to like rush around and like go and do something. And we just told him when he woke up, we were like, you get to choose whatever you want to do today.
Does it make you feel old having a 4-year-old?
No.
Does it make you feel old that you're 29?
No. You keep bringing this up like I'm that old, and I'm not. I don't even, or like the other day, they asked me how old I was, and I said 28. And then I was going and getting my flu shot from CVS.
Purposely? Because you don't want to be 29? Because you're worried about how old it sounds?
I was so used to saying 28, and then I really I felt so dumb afterwards because then they had to ask me my birthday to put it in to the computer.
You didn't know your birthday?
No, I knew my birthday, but I'm like, oh my God, what if he realizes that I just said I'm 28 and I'm actually 29?
He probably did realize, but he was being polite.
Yeah. I was humiliated in that moment.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was
such an
mortified.
Honest mistake.
I know, but I was just like, I turned red. And because I had realized once I said my birthday, I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm 29.
Those moments where people are like, people will say something like, you're welcome. And then you say, You're welcome
Yeah.
back. And there's no reason for you to say you're welcome back.
Yeah.
Those are those moments that I feel so dumb because it's like I obviously was so on the gun to like respond that I didn't even like listen and process to what they were saying.
I'm really bad of saying you too after they say because I'll say how you do, like I'll initiate the conversation and then they're like, okay, yeah, you too, and I'm like I always repeat it and then I like run away.
Yeah, so we had a pandemic birthday. Let's see what else has gone on in the 3 months that we took off, which I know all our listeners have been. I mean, I've been getting direct messages all over Instagram, just like, where are you?
Are you okay?
Whew.
I mean, we were like, calm down,
Fighting them
guys.
off
We
with
just
a stick.
needed a break for like a little bit.
I think probably the most significant is we're gonna move. That's a big life update.
Yeah.
Where are we moving to?
Olathe, Kansas.
Out there in BFE, Kansas.
That's what it sounds like when people ask me. I'm like, Olathe, Kansas.
No, I'm pretty sure Olathe is bigger than Joplin.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, even just like by like population. I'm not sure how big Joplin is when like everyone's here.
Yeah.
For like work and stuff, but.
I just would say distance-wise of driving in Olathe, it seems
ground to cover.
Bigger.
Obviously, we've done a lot of research about this move.
I don't feel like we really have to. It's where my dad lives, and so we've
It's
we've
kind of a
been
shotgun
in that
move.
area.
It's kind of one of those things that either I go or that's the end of the Freeborn family.
That is so not true. The reason for the move is because Stevan accepted a new job.
And that's another big life update.
Yeah.
Yeah. New job.
And because of the pandemic, they're not rushing us to move because nobody's really in office now anyway. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess I could let you talk about it since it's your thing.
No, I mean, I think it's a whole family thing. You know what I mean? For us, it's really as a family thing because we're one of those single income families. So everything is tied to. I mean, most are kind of like our. What do you call that? Like the structure, the infrastructure of our life is built around the work or the job that I have. So whenever there's something that impacts that, it has to be something that works for the benefit of all of us and not just the benefit of me, you know, personally. Mm-hmm. And you guys are kind of an afterthought. So it did work out perfectly, though. I mean, it's kind of one of those timing things in terms of all the horribleness of the pandemic and all the negative things that have come out of it. It kind of was it was just basically a huge positive. Excuse me, a huge positive that everything that's going on in the world is going on in the world, because otherwise the circumstances under which I would have had to accept the position would have been very different. And so having a little bit of runway until we have to move, until their office starts operating under kind of normal conditions.
And it's really not even them that's put a for sure timeline on us. It's more of other life events that's kind of put a timeline.
Oh yeah. Our timeline.
We set the timeline because of other aspects of our own
Get
life.
a kid starting school and getting settled.
Yeah, I want to be in an area and comfortable in an area before Cal starts school next year, and then also the big family Colorado trip. I want to be moved before we have to embark on that.
Yeah, so I mean that from a timeline perspective, that helped a lot. That was kind of like the linchpin in the decision to take this new job. And you know, after the last new job fiasco, I think we both had a lot of anxiety or trepidation about jumping into something that was unknown. But I think for us, we kind of had that criteria, or tried to have a criteria around whether or not to take it based on okay, first, does it meet like the minimum threshold of paying our bills? And then second to that was, okay, if it meets that minimum threshold of paying our bills, great. Okay, second to that is if we have to move, which they said we would, can we move and maintain or improve our quality of life and make sure that our family can still operate and still have the same similar infrastructure that it has right now, where we're on one income, one of us stays home to focus on taking care of the kids. So we were able to check that box, and those boxes are awesome, but it really was that third check box of you'll have to move to Kansas City or you have to move to Olathe, but because of the pandemic, because everyone's working remotely, you have a little bit of runway, and that was kind of that was like the third criteria that if it had been under normal conditions, it probably would have been, well, we need you to be up here and ready to start in a couple weeks or a month. And that just would have been too rushed, too soon. We wouldn't have been financially prepared and had enough of a savings to finance the relocation and all those things. But that's been a big blessing. And it's been a blessing from, whereas my old job, with the whole pandemic situation, we were doing every other day at home sort of. This job is completely remote right now, which has been really cool to have a full-time remote job, and it's taken a little getting used to,
family time.
Yeah, exactly.
I before you were here all the time, I really did think that it was going to feel different, but it really hasn't. It hasn't messed up me and the kids' routines, you being here all day, and I actually think that it's kind of just benefited our whole family as a whole, because we're getting way, way more extra time, family time, like personal family time together, just because whenever Steven takes a small little break, he can pop in and say hi to the kids and play with them extra, and I feel like you are 10 times more happy.
Yeah, it's much more.
You don't feel
it's much more
as
like
much.
I think obviously so much of what I'm about to say is so conditional on your life circumstances, but in my life circumstances, in terms of what I do for a day job, because to me, what you want to do, you can pursue as much as you want in your free time, but in terms of the job that provides or is the primary provider in terms of your income for your family, through my eyes, the first and foremost for that has to be, does it provide? Second to, do I like this and do I enjoy it? And I think that's pretty traditional. I think the vast majority of people would totally understand that. You got to have a job that takes care of responsibilities, which is kind of what my last job was. It was at a point in our life where we were making a transition into having kids, and we needed something that was stable and secure, provided benefits, and most importantly allowed you to stay home. And that's what that job was about. It really had very little to do with, is this an area I want to take my career in? I have a degree, the degree sort of fits this field, it qualifies for me to get in the door, and it will provide.
Yeah.
And
Ajinomoto took really good care.
Oh yeah, that was a great job. All the people there were awesome and everything.
I really feel like your boss did everything he could to try to make it what you would enjoy.
And it wasn't that, and it wasn't so much that I didn't enjoy it. It was just was that the be end of all for my career over the next 20, 30 years of my working life?
Yeah.
No, I just didn't feel like that was going to be what I wanted to make a career out of. I think that, and then I think that was why, and that's why it was difficult making a decision on what to do and what to leave, because it was a job that provided really well for us, took care of us, did right by us, and it was totally tolerable. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, I didn't love it to the moon, but I didn't hate it to the earth. It was right there in that sweet spot. And so the only thing that could have really drew us away from it was something that more aligned on more of a selfish basis for me, which is, would I have more passion for it? Would I enjoy it more? Would I have more enthusiasm for it? And that's where kind of this job is what, because after we took care of all the adult criteria, oh, well, this is more in line with what Steven's interested in and where he could see himself working, or a field he could see himself having a day job career, so to speak. Because I think personally, I'm still always going to identify myself as a coach, as a trainer, even though I've never done that full time for a living and I've never had to support a family solely from that work. But that's like where my real passion is. That's where my real interest is. And so I'm always going to, I think, primarily identify myself as that. But I know, because I have responsibilities at home, I have to have some sort of secondary or alternative career that I do 40, 50 hours a week, and this job more fits with that. Yeah. Which
But I feel like you enjoy it too.
Yeah, definitely. I do enjoy it. And that's kind of like the only thing that was like, okay, I can feel good about leaving this because it checks all these boxes and I'll like it more. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
I mean, we haven't really had to really feel like we're moving yet because it's kind of still a ways out. So we might have a little bit more anxieties once that's right there up in our face. But I feel very comfortable right now,
totally
which is very unlike me in this situation. But that's truthful. Like that, normally I would be anxiety ridden with a big move like this. But I would say as of now, I feel fine. But I mean, obviously check back with me in 6 months?
In about the minute that you're actually having to
pack things up and put it
I'm not anxious about it because I think my experience over the last year has taught me that, not taught me, but maybe reinforced something. It forced me to live out something that I knew in my head, but maybe didn't know in my heart or my soul. And it's that Steve Jobs quote of, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. And you have to have some level of faith and some level of trust that the winding path of your life in moments, in snapshots of time, it makes no sense. For the longest time, it made no sense. Why am I working as a food scientist developing deep-fried appetizers when I've just spent 5 years of my life trying to build a career in the fitness world? It made no sense. Yeah, it just made no sense. But then looking now as 27-year-old Steven, looking back at where 22, 23-year-old Steven was, that was a transitionary point.
It's what we needed in that time.
That the things fit into place where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. I think it is important to prepare if that opportunity had presented itself and I hadn't been prepared or ready for it, I wouldn't have been able to capitalize on it. So there is an aspect of it is putting yourself in a place where you can take advantage of those opportunities. But you have to have some faith that, whether you want to call it God or some sense of coincidence, things will get put in front of you at the right time, at the right place, but you'll only be able to make that discernment after you've lived it.
Yeah.
Only after you're through it. Now I understand that job was about security and stability for a young family to have kids and have insurance and get through that and have a steady income and focus on taking care of the babies and getting them through those early years.
Well, also getting a whole bunch of debt paid.
Yeah, and putting ourselves on more solid financial footing. That's, it was about developing me professionally, getting me used to a corporate environment, a corporate setting, and how to navigate that kind of political culture and working with a manager and all those things that I hadn't really experienced. I had experienced to some degree in a young, kind of more, I guess, less professional jobs, but it was kind of allowing me to learn these skills that would later benefit me or will now benefit me, and then create those interpersonal connections with those people I worked with, that I have to believe that maybe over the next 10 years they don't translate into anything meaningful, but who knows 20 years down the line what that relationship will be, or what those people I worked with and met with, what that will translate into. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from the last 4 or 5 years is like the large majority of the world is really built on relationships. Like I was reading or I listened to this book called Love Does, again by Bob Goff, and in it he talked about how, I can't remember what exactly he said, but he said something to the effect of like businesses or organizations, they have programs, people have friendships. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the truth of the matter is like the relationships and the friendships you make, personal and professional, are really that's really the value in life. That's really what you're going to trade on. And it's so important that no matter, you can't understand who's going to become who, and you don't understand how working with this person here or investing in this relationship over here is in any way, shape, or form going to benefit you or help you or add value to your life. But you'll see down the line that for some reason you met this person, then 5 years later they become more of
like the impact. Maybe you were the impact in their life that they
true,
needed,
or they impacted, or vice versa. Yeah, totally. So I don't know. That's my little diatribe, but I think that's probably the most, as going forward into the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. That's going to be a new.
Which that's insane to just say.
Yeah, 2021.
Just 2020 and 2021, like it's just insane that we're at to those year groups now.
Yeah, we might make it to 2100.
It's insane. That's insane.
If we live over 100 years, maybe we'll live over 100 years.
Maybe.
Do you think you're like, no? Well, maybe,
I mean,
no?
I don't have very, like, I know that on both sides of my family there's very good, like, overall health is good. It's more of, like, lifestyle-related illnesses that happen. So, I mean, if I took better care of myself, then, yeah, probably make it to 100. But I don't, at least as of now, I don't foresee myself living to 100. Know. I could foresee you living to it, but that's just more of, like, determination and stubborn will.
It'd be pretty cool to see that. But, yeah, I think we're coming. I think for us as a family, having kids, closing the gym and having kids was one transition point, and then we've had 5-6 years of pretty. This is our life. You know, this is what it is right now. I think we're heading into a season of life that's another period of transition, and then.
Well, we're gonna be moving, and then like our kids are gonna be starting school up there, and.
But hopefully after like the summer of 2021, you know, we'll be settling into another season of life where this is our life, and these are going to be our, you know, next 10 years of life where we're settled in and we're raising our kids and doing work and exploring a whole new place to live. And I think that's exciting. I think I probably find more excitement. I think I find less excitement in the transitionary periods, and I find more excitement about like having that steady, stable. This is our routine. That's just me, you know. That's like that. I mean, I'm okay. I can handle the chaos. I can execute through the chaos and the change and all that. That doesn't freak me out because I do believe, like, going back to the point about. You know, how we feel about the move and everything. I trust that at the right moment, at the right place and time, the right apartment or house or whatever thing that we're supposed to rent will present itself to us. Mm-hmm. And we'll be prepared. We'll have saved our money. We'll have prepared ourselves to where we can jump on the opportunity when it is. So I have no because that's just the way the world. That's just for some reason that is how the world works. Things get presented to you when they're supposed to be presented to you, and no amount of worry or concern or additional research addresses that.
Which that's like so funny. Like I want to believe that. I really do. Like I mean,
But I'm also not one of the people that just like.
I do feel like I do believe that. It's just for some reason I think having kids has made it all worse. I think I was very easygoing and kind of go with the flow type of situation when I was younger, and then having kids and that whole variable in it now has made me a lot more of an anxious person, and I feel like I'm constantly
my brother's version of go with the flow is like, fuck it, it's all gonna work out. And my version of go with the flow is like, it's going to work out, but I'm still going to plan and I'm still going to prepare.
Oh, I wasn't saying you were go with the flow. Yeah. I was saying that I used to be go with the flow. Like, I know that you're still a planner. You still need to have a plan set in place to feel comfortable.
I totally agree with Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Totally understand the sentiment. Yes, the plan goes out the window when the shit hits the fan. Yes.
Yeah.
But I still think that planning and preparing oneself allows you to better deal with the chaos and the
yes.
You know what I mean?
You feel a little bit more in control of the situation when
you're prepared to react to the.
And I feel like I need that. I need some sense of control in the situation to feel comfortable with moving forward. I have high hopes that this drastic change in our life won't bring on panic attacks, because Kelsey has shown in the past that drastic changes. I haven't had one in many years.
You know what, though? I think I personally look at that stuff through the lens of, I think people did a bad job of providing, like, when I think back even on my own, where I am as an adult, people did a really bad job of, when you have anxiety, what do you do with that anxiety?
Yeah.
Like I read this thing about like rumination, like worrying, right? That's something that I very
just the emotions all together.
I find myself very frequently worrying over the same thing, the same intrusive thought of, I need to get this done. And I know I need to get this done, and I need to get this done, and I just find myself stuck in that loop. And my solution to it is that's my solution. Like planning is I think much less about having something to execute against, as it is it's an antidote to the sense that you need to take action on something, but there's nothing to do yet. Yeah. Right? It's like, I know I need to prepare for this move, but there's nothing to prepare for yet.
Yeah.
So the way you like pull the rumination out of your mind is you make a plan. And for me, like, it can be as simple as just like at the end of my work day, I just dump all everything I know I need to do. Maybe it's the next day or whatever. Just dump it onto a task list, get it out of my head. And that to me is a very simple way of like curing
I've felt, it's very odd for me because I've felt no anxiety with this decision at all.
Which is that's to be fair. Well, I think we had anxiety about making the decision.
No, you had anxiety about making the decision.
Yeah.
I was 100% let's go. But also
you were let's go if you think it's okay to go.
Yes, because I wasn't going to like force you into a decision and then us be up in Olathe and then now you hate this job and Kelsey was the main force of pushing forward. I wasn't going to do that. That's why I was like, but I need to make that decision.
on the topic of the anxiety, like I've seen in action where action is a cure to your anxiety. Like when you were doing the Ray Lana thing, it was like next level anxiety about doing it. And then the
first time, because it was overwhelming.
The minute you actually started doing stuff for it, it was like it went away. Because it was like you finally could put your arms around.
Well, I realized it wasn't as hard as I was making it out to be.
Yeah, because you can take this.
I'm very, very good at like compartmentalizing like I guess what you're saying of like
It's
tasks, but I put it like in my head. Okay, I'm gonna do all of this. I'm gonna sort out all the clothes, and I'm gonna put them into how I want to hang them up.
Yeah, you could actually do at that point you could actually do something with it. And to me, I feel like that's like the thing is like, as human beings, it's for sometimes the thing that drives the anxiety is this uncertainty of this like ephemeral thing. Like, for example, it's a very small example, but this thing of like, I need to prepare for this consignment sale. I need to prepare for this consignment sale. And the prepare for the consignment sale is this very ephemeral statement that it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That feels like, but then the minute you actually like, in my world, it would be like make a list. In your world, it's like, okay, let me do this. The minute you start doing it, or the minute you turn it from this like statement in your mind.
I need to be like on a track. And then as I'm on the track, I can make it quicker and better as I'm on it.
And you're like, this is the track. Oh, this is not a big deal because this is the track.
It's not scary. I'm on it. I'm fine.
Yeah, and like I know what the turns are. I know like and I think that's where that you can kind of like, it's almost like you can like, even though there is a like in less certain things like that, you almost can make that track for yourself in life. Even if the track doesn't exist, the plan kind of helps like pretend to yourself that there is a track here, and so that brings me enough courage to navigate it.
He's snoring.
So loud.
It's so loud.
But and on the contrary point to that too, I've also heard this thing like where if you actually knew everything you were getting into before you started something, you probably would never do it. And I think there's some truth to that too. It's like if everyone could tell us exactly all the shitty things that are going to happen to us to make this move.
Well, I mean, also just
we probably would be like,
transition of life. Like, I mean, if you could go back, there's many things if you went back to talk to 17-year-old Stevan that you'd probably want to make clear to him to be like, hey,
here's
pay
all
attention
the
to
hurdles, and you'd probably be like, well, okay, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But then you may have missed out on all the other stuff. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like if everyone had told you all the obstacles you're going to have to overcome, you may have then erred.
You'll miss on all the good things that go along with that.
Yeah, because you'll be like, well, why would I want to do it? Like everything in comparison seems like it's not worth it. So I think that there is some benefit to being ignorant.
Yeah.
You know? And there is a little bit of benefit to being ignorant, and a little bit of benefit to being stubborn, because you're always going to have those people who are going to like try to tell you this is how it's going to go, and so there is a little benefit about being that stubborn person that's like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm going to do this anyways. Even if you have to eat your words down the road, you're already down the road, right? And so you're going to get the benefits and you're going to go through the obstacles, but at least those people didn't scare you away from the path, right?
Yeah.
And then you miss out
on
that.
I mean, sometimes it's worse because people will scare you but you're like, I'm already on it, like I can't get off now.
Yeah.
And they scare you, so then you're worrying and stressed on that track, and then you go through it and you're like, it was not that bad as what everyone tried to scare me to thinking.
Stubbornness can be a superpower.
Well, like backtracking a little bit of what I'm excited about of this whole little stage of life is that everyone knows this, for the longest time I have wanted to live closer to my dad and just that family up there. And I'm excited to be able to have that in my life now. Like, of course, without a doubt, I'm going to have a very hard time leaving the people that we have down here and the connections that we have here and our family and stuff. That's going to be very hard, but I am so excited to be able to be within like 15-20 minutes of the family that's up there. Why are you staring at me?
No, Totally.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I'm super excited about. And maybe that's why I feel a lot more at ease with the situation, because we're not moving to an area that I don't know already. And we also have a support system that's already up there. It's not like we're going to be by ourselves in a newer area.
I just don't want you to be disappointed.
Why?
Because, like, that's, like, my concern is always, like, your idealism of how things are gonna be and gonna go, and then the things aren't like that, and then you're, like, and then it's, like, so hard for you. Like, let go, let go, let go.
I feel like I've gotten a lot better.
No,
than even from when, like, Cal was born.
Totally. I'm not saying, like, I'm not even saying there's anything bad about that, because it's good. It's good to have a vision. Vision is so important.
I don't feel like I have a vision. I'm just saying that, like, I'm excited to have.
Yeah, but you can envision, like, you have a vision of, like, what life can be there with that.
I don't feel like I really don't feel like I'm putting that expectation on that. All I'm just saying is that I have the excitement.
Which is good. I think that it's good to have that.
Yeah.
It carries you through. What? What? That's my only concern sometimes. I'm like,
okay, then you know what, family that's listening that lives in that area, be prepared, because what Steven's saying is that Kelsey's going to be on your doorstep all the time, and you need to be prepared for that.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
What are you doing?
I'm here. Hey, what's up? You guys want to hang out? No, I mean, I think everyone's equally as excited, and I think that's great. I think that is not very many people can move one place to another and have a support system or some type of a support system in that sense. Like, have family that's nearby that you can have somewhat security to feel like, oh man, if everything was to completely, like, shit the bed here. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not just out here on the island floating by ourselves. Very few people have that. You know,
I mean, we even, like, one of my dad's neighbors who I have grown up around was like, hey, I'm barely at my house. You can just rent the bottom half of my house and just live there. So, I mean, that would be hysterical if we ever did something like that.
You really like that he offered that.
No, I think it's funny that he offered it. It's not like I'm, like, taking him up on the offer. I just think it's funny.
I'm gonna, yeah.
No, I'm not.
Put that in my back pocket right here.
I'm just saying that obviously we have a big enough support system that even with just not just family.
I think that speaks to how impressive it is. Those people, like my brother and his wife, they both moved someplace where I don't know, like the only person in our family that I could really say has made a move, and babe, he's fine.
Huh?
You baby him too much.
I'm not babying him. He's licking his paws, and it's annoying me.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like the sound.
No one
so
likes
I was moving him.
Sound. Get out of here, Opie.
No. You're being too mean. I just wanted to move him further away so I didn't have to listen.
Oh, what I was saying is, like, about the whole support system thing is, like, that's why I think that it's so impressive. Like, the only person in our family who's really, like, been like, I'm going to go off to the middle, like, I'm going to go where I've never been before, and none of my family's been before, and nobody I know is there, and I'm going to make a life of it.
It's Lane and Shelby.
No, it was Tyler. It's Tyler.
Well, I mean, Lane and Shelby went to Cersei.
But they knew people. Like, to me, that's like...
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're totally right.
Like, Tyler was like, here's a job. I'm going to roll up in here.
Yeah.
It's like...
But that's always been Tyler's personality. He does not... I don't necessarily think that he doesn't worry. I do think he worries and has anxieties. I just think...
Well, you can't be brave without... You can't be courageous without having worries and anxiety.
What I'm trying to tell you is that has always been Tyler's personality.
That's the only... that now that we've experienced kind of making that decision, we haven't actually followed through on it, but contemplating the follow through, it's like, oh...
No way would I have been able to make that kind of move by myself. No way.
It's unreal. It's very impressive now that.
And for how long he lived out there, it's impressive that he did that. Because I have such a big family and we've always been so close and right there and in each other's faces, that's what makes it even more impressive that he did go somewhere very far away from the whole entire family. And, well, I mean, Deej technically did too. The stuff that he did in the army.
Yeah, but like that, I mean, I'm not diminishing that. I'm just saying that it's a very like that's what he signed up. Like he knew that was like a lifestyle he signed up for.
Yeah.
And Tyler's was kind of like, here's this opportunity. 9 times out of 10, I can tell every other person. I can think of every other person 9 times out of 10 would have been like, no, I'm not going to do that.
No.
Like I mean, I probably would have said no.
I think it's about transitions in life. He knew that he needed a change of scenery, and that that was the job opportunity that was presented to him to give him that.
What else is going on in our lives?
I think that's about it.
I got espresso cups today. That's a really big thing.
Not compared
I've had an
to
espresso machine for well, we kind of talked that one to death, I'm sure. Now people are like, okay, we get it. You're moving. You got a new job.
Okay, because the thousands of listeners that are listening right now.
Hey, look, Alan yesterday when we were on, he was trying to stream for the first time on Twitch. You gotta practice like you're gonna play. I mean, there was no one watching him, but hey, that didn't stop him from trying to interact with people if they were watching. I mean, you gotta practice, right?
He did not interact with me. I would like to point that out.
Well,
I jumped on there.
I'm just gonna pretend like we have 1,000
Alan,
true fans.
if you're listening, you did not interact with me. I was on there watching.
I got espresso cups today. I've had an espresso machine for like a year, more than a year.
But I don't.
That was one of my big purchases.
You have to have an espresso cup because you have an espresso machine.
Because it's hard to tell how much you're. Like if you know your cup's 2 ounces, then you know, okay, when I draw my shot here, I put in this many grams of coffee, I should get about an ounce. Excuse me, this is not a good drink to drink while recording a podcast. I know that this is I should get about an ounce of liquid out. I mean, you kind of have to know, but it's an easier way to gauge. First, you're using a 12-ounce cup that doesn't really fit under there, and you're trying to look in and see, it's like half an inch, so that's probably
but you're also like the king of oh no, I'm okay. I don't need those new things, and so you'd rather just
I spend a year with a pain point, and then when that pain point reaches a level that's okay, $15 warrants the expense to address.
You could have just gotten it all together.
Yes, we're very different on how we approach these things.
You got it anyway.
Because I say that's because I understand that I need this, but I also can I can hold out to allow the cash to come in and go out.
$15.
Maybe that's not a good example.
But then we'll drop all the money that we need on camera equipment.
Yeah, I broke. Oh, that's another big happening. I broke my camera lens, so I had to get 2 new camera lenses. Obviously,
that makes sense.
Can't replace the one. They multiply. That's how it works.
They break and they sprout into 2. Each piece.
Break 1, get 2.
Makes sense.
Then next time I break my camera, I'll get 2 new cameras. And I'll have 2 lenses for each camera body. No. Yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah.
This computer is about ready to die because I didn't make sure it was charged before we started recording. Is there anything else you'd like to say on our comeback here?
Not really. I feel like we've recapped.
All right.
On everything.
Are you going to make yourself available in the coming weeks to record more episodes for our diehard listeners?
I don't understand what you think I'm doing.
I'll just put it on your calendar. Also, I sent you a calendar invite and you never accepted it.
I don't understand how to do these things. Because you're sending me invites to things, or like the whole Prime family thing that you sent me. I try signing in. It says I can't sign in with the same account.
You have to
as
make
from
your
the
own
sender.
account.
And then I tried to make my own account, and then one section it's telling me that Kay Graves already has an account. So I go to try to find out what my password is for that account, and it says that it doesn't recognize my email.
Oh man, this is stressful.
So,
but here's the thing.
Obviously,
to recap, Kelsey doesn't know how to deal with meeting invites. She's very busy. We're gonna move. I got a new job. I now have proper cups to pull up espresso shots.
Cal's 4. Oh, and he got his tonsils taken out.
And we're gonna do a much better job of sticking to our 2020 commitment of recording podcast episodes.
Problem.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back again. Share it with a friend. Find us on Instagram. Don't worry about Kelsey's handle. Mine is... What is my handle on Instagram? I think my handle on Instagram is just Stevan.freeborn.
Oh. Mine's K Freeborn 412.
That's right. Hit us up there if you have questions or want us to talk about stuff on the episodes. All 3 of you. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
No, it's good night.
Good night.
There you go.